What is up, everybody out there in HeroClix land? This is Scott Porter back for day 2 of our brand new Marvel HeroClix unboxing series for the brand new HeroClix set, House of X. Look, I look like a two-headed man here with Professor X on my shoulder. It's like the two of us, you know, just me and X hanging out. Yesterday was day 1. It was awesome. If you didn't catch it, just pause this video, go back and watch it. It's a longer video, but I promise you it is completely worth it. Yesterday, we opened 2 boosters, and we opened the Fast Forces, and we opened the Dyson token set, and we got to see Apocalypse Rogue, who is the prize support figure for this particular set. And man, it did not disappoint. We got a pretty big variety of characters. The Fast Forces work together as a cohesive unit. X-Force is kind of the CIA of the new Dawn of X. I explained a little bit yesterday, but basically the whole situation between House of X and the Dawn of X books is that Xavier and Magneto and Moira have gotten together and decided that to avoid the fate of mutant kind, which is just to be defeated by humanity, at the very end, humanity and technology kind of joining forces, and every single time, in order to avoid that fate, they think they need to actually become a strong union of mutants. They hatch an idea to become a sovereign nation, have Krakoa be their home, welcome all mutants, good or bad, from all over the world, and just become a mutant nation. But that is protected in a way that Genosha and the other times that the X-Men have tried to form their own like sanctuaries have been thrown, destroyed, attacked, etc., etc. Krakoa is different because they can protect themselves there. And on top of that, they also create a mutant economy. They create these drugs based out of Krakoan biology that can save humanity from pretty much every disease around. They have these 3 different drugs, one of them that can extend a human being's life, and they help humanity, saying, we're here, here's an olive branch, but at the same time, once you take this olive branch, understand that you are recognizing us as a sovereign nation, and they're trying to do things differently this time. So yesterday we pulled members of the Quiet Council, the big wigs who run Krakoa. You're talking Apocalypse, Magneto, Professor X, Mr. Sinister, Marvel Girl, Storm, the list goes on and on, the White Queen, you've got Sebastian Shaw as well. We pulled some of the 5 on Krakoa. Mutants can resurrect. They can become resurrected on Krakoa using this group of mutants called the 5. We pulled one of them yesterday, Egg, who used to be known as Gold Balls. So we've pulled a lot of really interesting story elements from the overall House of X. If you haven't read it, it's written by Jonathan Hickman. It's very dense, but it's really super cool. It revolves around one character. We did not pull her yet, and that is Moira Mctaggart. You find out, and it turns the whole Marvel universe on its ear, that she has a mutant power that we never knew about before. And that is, she lives all the way to the end of her life, she dies, and she wakes up in her mother's womb, reborn, with all of her memories from before, and then has to live that life again. So she saw mutant kind. Her first life, she really actually is, she lives a happy life, she doesn't know about mutants, nothing like that. Second life, she goes away to college, she meets Professor X, she sees mutant kind meet a horrible end. She tries it a different way the next time. She joins forces with Magneto at one point. She joins forces with Apocalypse at one point. She becomes a horseman. She just does things every single time and keeps on failing. And she's told throughout the books of Destiny, which is a whole different, really cool subject that I'm not going to get crazy into, but basically, you're going to die and keep coming back. And you're going to try and do things differently. You've got a limited number of lives, Moira. So, and this was Mystique and Destiny and the old Freedom Force basically burning her at the stake and telling her, we know that you have a power. Destiny's the only one that can ever see her, basically, and understand that she is living all of these different lives. And they basically tell her, you need to stop what you're doing. Just live your life and let us go forth. And Moira refuses to do that. And this is her last-ditch effort. They tell her, basically, you've got 10, maybe 11, if you play your cards right. And then House of X tells us the story of the X-Men from year 1, year 10, and year 1000, or something along the year 1, year 10, or year 100, and then year 1000, 1,000 years in the future. And every single time you're seeing humanity go nuts, see the mutants as a threat, join themselves with technology, and then ultimately defeat the mutant problem. And so this new storyline, Dawn of X, is the X-Men trying to do something differently and trying to make sure that their survival isn't going to be just for a limited amount of time, that they can live forever and that they can actually they can win. They can figure it out. So you've got Moira, who is the main crux of that story. She's hidden away on Krakoa. Nobody else knows outside of Professor X and Magneto. And so you have all these new teams forming: X-Force, Excalibur, X-Men, New Mutants, Fallen Angels, X-Factor. It just goes on and on. They all have new leadership. They all have new team configurations. And so we saw a lot of that yesterday, as well as the return of Team-Up cards. Yesterday did not disappoint. So like I said, go back, watch it, and then join us here today. Today we're just going to open these two boosters right here. We're going to see what we get. I'm just hoping to see more of the same. A lot of times you do these unboxing series, and by day 2 I'm like, man, we haven't seen this guy, this girl, this hero, this villain. Right now, I'm just, the world is their oyster. They can choose any mutant they want to put in this set because they are all on Krakoa. They are all in play with House of X. So let's see who we might see for the day. Take a look at the outside of the box, because yesterday we did a real cursory look. But here we've got Beast, we've got X-Force. We saw a bunch of these characters yesterday because the Fast Forces were basically that entire team. Here we go with Excalibur. Like I said, you've got Apocalypse, you've got Gambit, you've got Elizabeth Braddock as Captain Britain, you've got Rogue, you've got Jubilee, and her son turns into a dragon once they go into Otherworld, which is really cool. You've got the Marauders. The Marauders is a great story too. You've got Pyro, the original Pyro. He's been resurrected. You've got Storm, Bishop, Iceman. You've got Kate Bishop there. Do not call her Kitty anymore. Don't do it. She does not like it. And then you've got the X-Men there. With Prestige, Rachel, but she doesn't like to be called Prestige. You've got Wolverine, Jean Grey. You've got Young Cable. I love that character. He's got his own ongoing right now, and it is super, super good, and he plays a huge role in the new X-Men storyline, X of Swords. And then to finish that out, you've got Corsair and Havoc standing there. So, of course, I want a new Havoc. I want some of the Starjammers that we've never seen before. Sikorsky, we've never seen before. We haven't seen any of them in a long time. Chad and all of them. That would be awesome. But we saw a lot of the characters on the outside of the box. We saw Sage yesterday. So I want the Elizabeth Braddock Captain Britain. I want some of these really cool reinterpretations of characters that we've loved for a long time that happen in the books going forward in Dawn of X. So that's all I want. But again, the world is their oyster. Ooh, what do we have here? Looks like we've got some bubble wrap. That's usually a good sign. Without further ado, here we go. We've got Wolverine. Now, we saw Wolverine yesterday. We've got Sunspot, one of my favorites. I know people love to hate Roberto da Costa, but I think when he's written well, he's so funny and charming, and you need characters that aren't just hyper-heroic all the time to balance out your books. And the relationship between him and Sam Guthrie, between Cannonball, is so fun. And, Roberto da Costa, he kind of is the fourth wall-breaking narrator of the New Mutants books, and he's very funny. Hickman writes him incredibly well. We've got Forge here in a different costume than we saw him in yesterday. We've got a Sinister Clone, and then we've got our first super rare, and it's somebody I haven't actually seen in House or Powers of X. Wow, this is an incredible piece, though. We've got Juggernaut, baby. Wow, look at that piece. Look at how big he is. He's got rubble strewn all over him. You guys will get a close-up look, of course, in just a couple minutes. But Juggernaut, he's one of the few characters I've been looking around like. His old buddy Black Tom plays a big role, actually, on Krakoa because he communes with Krakoa because of his ability. He's a telefloronic, right? Is that what his power is? But he communes with Krakoa in a different way, and Krakoa can kind of like take his body over. Black Tom plays a big role, but his old running mate Juggernaut have not seen. So interesting to see how he made the set, why he made the set. We'll get to that in just a moment. All right, here we go. We've got this Wolverine. We saw the Fast Forces Wolverine, but now we're going to look at this guy, take a peek at his card and see how he differs from the Fast Forces version. This one is set number 4, comes in at 60 points. He's got Weapon X, X-Force, X-Men, Animal, and Assassin keywords. He's got the trait, the Mutant CIA. He's got Stealth. He also ignores hindering terrain for movement and for targeting. And he's got Weapon X Reject. He's got Charge and Flurry there. Okay, Weapon X Reject. Let's see the back of his card and take a look at the dial and what it does. 6 clicks long, only regeneration at the very end. This is a really scaled down version of Wolverine. Interesting. I hope we get future version of Wolverine, or the really important thing that happens with Moira a lot is that she befriends Wolverine and she keeps him with her throughout most of her lives because she has to die. And at the end of one of her lives, someone tries to just keep her alive permanently so that she'll never die and never go back and never try a different way to help the mutants succeed in surviving. And she keeps Wolverine near her so that he will end her at the end of it all. And one of Wolverine's lines in the book is, you know, close your eyes. It's time for me to do what I do best. And then he'll kill Moira. And it's a couple of times that it happens. It repeats a couple of different times. It's very Battlestar Galactica. You know, all of this has happened before. All of this will happen again. And so I hope we get one of those future versions of Wolverine that has lived through years and years. And also, Old Man Wolverine, Old Man Logan is in the very future, the year 1000 X-Men, with a really cool team of mutants who are at the last stand of mutant kind. And I'll get more to that if we pull one of those. But I hope we get different versions of Wolverine. I know a lot of us out there, we don't want a ton of sculpt reuse, but Wolverine has a bunch of different levels in House of X and Powers of X. So I hope we see a future version of him. It'd be very cool. All right, let's go with the Sinister Clone next. When Magneto and Professor X go to Bar Sinister to try and recruit Mr. Sinister, they encounter like 50 Sinister clones who are all just battling for the throne. They're all saying that they're the real Sinister, and they're cutting off each other's heads, and just it's pretty hilarious. Hickman writes a really great storyline there. The Sinister Clone, Battle World Other, that's nice. Plays with some Battle World here. Marauders and Scientist keywords, set number 15, comes in at 20 points. Which one? There are so many of us. Shape change. And you can see the back there, only 3 clicks long, a little bit of shape change, just enough to be annoying. But if written right, Sinister is so good. He's such a good character. All right, put him over there. And he sits on the Quiet Council. Mr. Sinister has a say in what happens with mutant kind going forward. And there's this really interesting stuff. Like I said, I don't want to spoil too much, but his gene splicing comes into play big time. Especially when you're talking about X-Men Year 1000, as you're reading these 3 different storylines in Hickman's book. And they start to create new mutants that have the power sets of mutants who came before them. And there's one mutant in particular in the Year 1000 storyline, Rasputin. She's so cool. She's got like the powers of magic and Colossus and Jean Grey. She's got like a ton of stuff going on. And Sinister eventually will find out how to make a mutant who has 5 power sets from 5 different mutants that came before them, up to 5 different sets of powers, which is just nuts. And in that future storyline, there's also a walking Krakoa, like the island has shrunk down to a man. It has like a giant Krakoan head. I hope we get that in this set too. So, okay, a couple of wishes for the set. I hope we get Rasputin. I hope we get Krakoa. I hope we get future Wolverine, Old Man Logan, who is still around in that 1,000 year time. Okay, let's see. Let's take a look at Forge. Okay, Forge has X-Factor, X-Force, X-Men, Mystical, Scientist, Soldier. Set number 21 comes in at 30 points. With unlimited energy and storage, I can build anything. Choose attack or damage. Adjacent friendly characters modify the chosen value by +1 this turn. Nice. Defense, or attack. If we're on the offensive or the defensive, he helps either way. Costume's a little bit different there. Forge, like I said, is super important on the island as he's figuring out how to interface with Krakoa and create new technology based off of the elements he can find there on the island. He's also hyper important because he creates, in order to resurrect people on the island, Professor X has modified Cerebro so that it not only allows him to see other mutants, it allows him to store data backups of every single mutant on Earth. And if he ever dies, there are 10 different cradles around the world with these Cerebro reboot systems that they'll need to be able to bring him back. And Forge makes sure that all works for him. Hickman has thought of everything. How do we keep this thing going? How does this Krakoan mutant nation really work from, socioeconomic situations, political situations? How do they defend themselves? How do they come back? I mean, it is deep reading, but it is so good. It is just so great. All right, Sunspot is next. Here we go. Sunspot, Hellfire Club, New Mutants, X-Force, and X-Men. Set number 7, comes in at 35 points. Has no special abilities. It's like a throwback dial there. Interesting. All right, just 4 clicks there. I hope we get another Sunspot in this set. I want another slightly more powerful Sunspot. But like I said, over time, I know a lot of people maybe aren't necessarily the biggest Roberto da Costa fan. I have been a fan of his since New Mutants came out in the 80s. I just thought he was so cool. The idea that he was just complete ink black with these little black dots all around him, absorbing the sun's energy to become strong. I love the whole idea of it, but his attitude always kind of made me... he's just a great character. You don't love a person like that maybe in real life, but on the page, what it provokes in other people and what it accomplishes in the page of a comic book, I absolutely love Bobby. I hope we get a different version of him. And in the New Mutants ongoing book that comes out in Dawn of X, he falls in love with Deathbird and decides to stay in the Shi'ar Empire and try and make her love him. And the two of them together, that's another character I hope we get. I hope we get a new Deathbird. That would be really cool because it sets some things up really nicely out there. The New Mutants now are kind of like the cosmic element of the X-Men universe, which is cool. All right. Last but not least, we have this dude, Juggernaut. We've got Brotherhood of Mutants, Excalibur, Thunderbolts, X-Men, Brute, and Mystical. You can see all the debris all over him. The sculpt it's so good. This sculpt is so good. It's really great. He comes in at a couple of different point values. I can't read them on the base there. 175 and 100. Oh, this is why. Character design for HeroClix by Tyler Spees, 2018 HeroClix World Champion. They waited for a set where it kind of fit into, I think, to put it out. That's really cool. Congratulations, Tyler, and thank you for blessing us with this particular sculpt and this particular character in this set. Didn't expect Juggernaut. This is awesome. He's got a trait, Mystical Helmet, Colossal Stamina. Juggernaut can reduce penetrating damage and has protected against Outwit. Once he starts, he can't be stopped as a special movement power. Charge. When Juggernaut uses it, you may choose to not have his speed, and if you do, he can use improved movement through blocking terrain and can only move in a direct path. If Juggernaut used Charge during your last turn, he can't become immobile. Oh man, you can't stop the Juggernaut. Sidorac's Chosen has a stop click, impervious, but succeeds on a 4-6. Another special damage power, nothing stops the Juggernaut. Battle Fury, opposing characters within 4 squares can't use Stop. Leadership or Perplex. If they have already used Perplex, the modifier temporarily does not apply. So if it shows up mid-turn, it doesn't apply. Man, take a look at that dial one more time. 13 movement, and you don't have the movement for Charge. He's moving full 13. That is insane with the Colossal Stamina as well. A 19 defense with Impervious. That special damage power with Battle Fury. Man, he is a beast. That is a great super rare to pull. It's a nice little surprise. And I said, I don't know how many villains we're going to get in this set because, you know, I don't know where Juggernaut is in the world during this Krakoa situation right now, but I'm sure he will show up sooner rather than later. Well done, Tyler. Well done. WizKids did a nice little piece there. Sweet. Okay, let's see what we have next. Man, I am so excited. Okay. Oh, I see a piece that was very highly requested, and I think you guys are going to be happy. We'll start with Rogue. We got a base Rogue here. We've got the Sunspot that we saw earlier, so I'm going to set him to the side. We've got Wolverine. I don't know if this is the same one as I just pulled. Remember, I said I wanted to see different versions of him, and it looks like, for sure, this is a different version. Even though the costume is the same, it's a different piece number. So he's somebody different, something new. See what he does. We've got Bishop, who is now a member of Kate's Marauders, which is awesome. And guess what? We got Shard. We got Shard, everybody. I know people were really wanting Shard. And X-Men Animated, I know people were a little bit upset because Bishop wasn't around. And there's a really good episode with Bishop and Shard. And now we've got them both. But this is the Shard from the late 90s, early 2000s, the X-Factor version, you know, the XSE Shard, Trevor Fitzroy's on-again, off-again love. She was really a conflicted character, caught between the person that she loved and her brother, Bishop. And, you know, he's had his own conflict over the years. Ooh, we've got a little team-up card in here as well. Our first team-up card that we've pulled out of 4 boosters. So let's keep that in mind as we go forward. Like I said, we already saw that Sunspot, set number 7, Sunspot. Let's go with Wolverine. First and foremost, here we go. Wolverine. This Wolverine is set number 22. Same costume, all right? He has Horseman. Ooh, the Horseman keyword. Horseman, X-Force, X-Men, and Future. Set number 22, but this one comes in at 100 or 50 points. We've got adamantium-laced bones and mutant healing factor. Toughness. Wolverine takes a maximum of 3 damage from attacks. At the beginning of your turn, heal 1 click. There's the Wolverine we all know and love. Take a look at the back of his card. Constantly healing. And yeah, he's back in his old browns and yellows. Back in his little throwback situation. No blues and yellows or anything. And pretty solid dial, especially at that healing trait. Only taking 3 damage. A lot of charge here. Blades Claw's Fang's not at the top like I expected it to be, and it's not traded at all. So, you know, we shall see how he plays. Still no kind of reference to the future. I'm looking at all the text here. All that was, you know, all that was is gone. These ain't just for show, bub. What I strain to contain set loose. Yeah, so these are still not necessarily referencing Wolverine in House of X, which is what I was really hoping for with this set, that we'd have more very House of X specific takes on the characters. But, you know, I bet you we get yet another Wolverine. We already know we're getting Phoenix Wolverine from the back of the box, right? So we'll see. All right, Rogue. Take a look at this Rogue. Remember, we got the prize support Rogue, the super rare one. This one, that's the Apocalypse Rogue. This one is just the regular Rogue. We've got Excalibur, X-Men, Mystical. She's set number 36. Comes in at either 90 or 60 points. Has a trait, Excalibur, Mystical Protectors. She has the Mystics team ability, but only triggers during ranged attacks. And Rogue has protected against Mystics. Turns out I don't need the gloves. Free. Choose an adjacent character and a standard power they can use. Until your next turn, Rogue can use that power and has that character's character's printed range value. So we've seen a rogue like this before. Nothing crazy new. Nice little hypersonic bump there on the front of the dial, though, at least. Super strength, 11 attack, 4 natural damage on that 90-point dial. So she can definitely be a brawler, a big hitter. That's great. Yeah, she doesn't have the same issues that she used to with just taking somebody's life force every time she touches them any longer. So a nice little variation on her. Okay, let's look at Bishop and Shard, and we'll look at them together. I don't know if they play together well, but we'll take a peek at them, right? Here are their cards. Show you the sculpts real quick before I start doing the reading. They look really good. The colors are really popping on these paint jobs, and they look great. I'm very excited about this. All right, Bishop has Hellfire Club, Marauders, X-Force, X-Men, Detective, Future, and Pirate. That's because of the Marauders situation that's going on right now. The Marauders, if you don't know, it is Kate Pride cannot go through the Krakoan gates like every other mutant can. Anybody of mutant descent can walk through this gate and end up on Krakoa immediately. She can't go through the gate, and nobody can figure out why. So she ends up being an operative on the outside, trying to make sure that other mutants who are having trouble getting to the island because of human interference make it there safely. Because there are still a lot of nations that are refusing to see Krakoa as a sovereign nation, and they are imprisoning, murdering, torturing mutants all around the world. So she has her own ship. It's got big guns on it, and a team goes with her to help rescue these mutants. Bishop is one of them. Iceman and Storm go with her because they're worried about their best friend. They're worried that something, if she dies, if she can't go through the gates to Krakoa, if she dies, can she be resurrected? Nobody knows if she could be resurrected. So there's a lot of things going on in the Marauders, but they basically are like sea pirates. They go to Madripoor, they go to this other stop. When they're in Tokyo, I think they go get tattoos, and Pyro gets a skull tattooed on his face, and she gets Hold Fast tattooed on her hands. And yeah, they're basically sea pirates, man. They're at sea, so that's awesome. He's got the pirate keyword. Set number 3A. Ooh, we're going to get a prime of Bishop. I wonder what that could be. He comes in at 60 points. He's got a trait, Absorb Energy. When Bishop is targeted by a range attack after resolutions, heal him 1 click and remove an action token from him. And he's got another trait, Death and Disappearance Investigations. When a standard friendly character with the X-Men keyword is KO'd, Bishop can use probability control until the end of your next turn. Take a look at the back of his card here. Interesting, good dial there. And then we've got Shard. Shard has X-Factor, X-Men, Future, Police, and Robot keywords. She's set number 13. She comes in at 45 points. Holographic, Sentience, and Photonic Absorption is her trait. Energy Shield Deflection. When Shard is targeted by a range attack after resolutions, choose one. Heal 1 click, or she can use Ranged Combat Expert until the end of your next turn. XSC member Shard. You can see that old, oh man, look at that old 90s outfit she's got on there. Insane. Pretty strong dial for just 45 points. But there you go. You get Bishop and his sister Shard. I know everybody was missing Bishop in the X-Men, the animated series, but we got him here. And he plays a big role in Marauders. That's very cool. And we get Shard for the first time. We've never had her before. So that is awesome as well. Last but not least, we did get a team-up card in here, and it happens to be a Wolverine team-up card. Okay, if you don't know the deal with team-up cards, they are as follows. He's set number 22. This is 22.01. So the dial is going to be the same, except for the fact that you see this team-up trait here. Team-up, Apocalypse, Cardinal, North, Rasputin, and Zorn. Oh my gosh. Okay. That's awesome. That's the future group I was just talking about of X-Men. Oh my gosh. Okay. So You've got North, who I think was like Magneto, like old Magneto. Rasputin, Zorn is a part of that group. Apocalypse. A Cardinal is this red, looks like Nightcrawler. He's red. He's part of a religious sect in the future that are mainly pacifists. But he's one of the last stand of this small sect of mutants that were created by Sinister, I believe. And then they're pretty hyper-religious. I got to go back and read. There's so much happening. But that's the X-Men Year 1000 group right there. That's awesome. Krakoa's not in there, so I'm a little worried that Walking Krakoa is not going to be a part of this set. Bums me out. Anyway, if exactly 3 listed friendly characters are on the map, Wolverine and listed friendly characters deal penetrating damage when attacking. Wow. After revealing forces, you may replace character cards with their alternates. You can't choose a team-up if your starting characters share a name. And then everything else on that card is going to be the same, but you just have that little bonus of penetrating damage. That is awesome. So cool. So it gives me a little bit of hope that we're going to see Rasputin. If we see Cardinal, that would be really rad. But that storyline, X-Men 1000, they're fighting against a hyper-evolved Nimrod and a techno-human race, basically, that are now pretty much intertwined. AI and skin and flesh are all just become one race now. And they are trying to ascend to the next level. And then you see the Phalanx come along. It gets all very convoluted. It's 1,000 years from now, and Hickman is one of the best science minds we have in comics, and he explains it a lot better than I could right now. Just know that mutant kind is on the brink of extinction. They're fighting against Nimrods, and the Librarian and these other Omega is a character that it's like basically an Omega human sentinel in human form. All from the future. So maybe we get a version of Nimrod in this set. It's a smaller version of Nimrod or Omega or any of those techno-human race villains from the future. But that's where that team-up comes from. So it gives me hope that we're going to see some of those because that was one of the 3 main storylines that we were getting in House of X and Powers of X. All right, there we go. We got a super rare today, our first one. It was the 2018 World Championship Commission to get Juggernaut, and they put it into this set, which is just incredible. We saw some mainline heroes. We saw another team-up card. I'm super excited by what we're seeing so far, but there is still so much to get to, and I hope we see Moira X. I hope we see Professor Xavier, see what some of the mutants that are really playing a part, White Queen, all of the rest of them. But we are getting the auxiliary books as well, which is really cool. So, they should have called this set Dawn of X. Hands down. They should have called it Dawn of X all the way. What's in Scott's Porter's Cup today? I know you guys ask in the comments section all the time. This is a Winter's Dream tea latte. A Winter Dream tea latte from Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf. I'm very scared for their future. Coffee Bean is starting to disappear everywhere, and I need my Winter's Dream tea latte. It reached 30 degrees in Los Angeles this week, so I felt like I could go and have one and feel okay about myself. Everybody else wants to skip Thanksgiving. I don't want to, but it felt kind of wintry this week. So that's what's in my cup for the unboxing series today. Anyway, once again, Scott Porter coming to you from Hyper RPG Studios in Los Angeles, California. Thank you so much to Hyper RPG. Go check them out on Twitch or on their YouTube channel, Hyper RPG, and they have a ton of pop culture, gaming content, whether it's video games, tabletop games, RPGs. They do it all, and it is very cool, as well as their archives, which are on YouTube, which contain a HeroClix-based show called Indomitables that yours truly was a part of. So go check them out. Thank you so much to WizKids for sending me a set of... the X-Men are just my very favorite thing in the Marvel Universe. They have been since I was a very little kid. The first issue I ever read was the issue where Nimrod actually kills Harry Leland. And I felt this wave of just adrenaline, the danger, the different characters, the superpowers. I think I was 7 years old. So I've loved X-Men all my life. And Hickman just did one of the most incredible X-Men stories you could ever read. He did a complete kind of reset on what the X-Men are in today's comic landscape. And so for WizKids to send me a set of my favorite game, revolving around one of my favorite storylines of the last couple of decades, I just can't say thank you enough. And lastly, thank you to you guys for watching. You watching and liking and sharing keeps us doing this thing, and it keeps us it allows us to keep on doing a little sneak preview of every single set, and the fact that you guys trust me to do that continuously just makes me so incredibly happy. So thank you all so much for watching. I will see you back here tomorrow for day 3 of the new HeroClix unboxing series, House of X. Remember, the set comes out on December the 9th, so go to your local comic book shop or game store and buy a case, buy a couple of bricks, buy whatever you can, support those game shops. And yeah, I will see you here tomorrow, and until I do, may all your rolls be critical hits.